offer you a platform for diverse opinions and perspectives through our presenters and other listeners. We encourage active participation, critical thinking, and lifelong learning. It's important to recognise that views expressed by individuals are their own and not those of management or stakeholders. Certain content might not resonate with everyone. If it bothers you, please explore other programming alternatives. Thank you for being part of MITE Radio's inclusive community.
And welcome to Making IT Easy, Interesting People, Interesting Times. And I'm here with the lovely Lewis Cox, who has been kind enough to let me come and visit his lovely place with a beautiful view over lilac trees from where I'm sitting, to talk a little bit about carers. I was able to find out recently that Lewis has actually had quite considerable experience as a carer, which I hadn't realised. So we've organised this interview really quick so we can get in for Carers Week. So thank you so much, Lewis, for letting me join you. This is great.
Happy to.
Yeah. And I'm so excited by some of the music we've got today. It's right up my alley, so it's just wonderful. In fact, the song that we're actually going to start with, I like starting with an Elvis number, is probably my second favourite Elvis number of all time. So we'll get to my first one a bit later on. This is an American trilogy. Do you want to tell us anything in particular about this song? Because you're a wealth of knowledge about Elvis.
Well, I think what I like about it is actually three songs. A lot of people don't realise hence the title trilogy. It's Elvis saying he's proud to be American, glory, hallelujah, and being religious. There's a religious component to it, and of course from the South. Some of the music and the lyrics are definitely proud that it has a sort of Confederate Civil War face about it, but bit of trivia. The South was so passionate about the song that he always made a point of singing it, especially when he did concerts in the southern states. It probably did get a warm reception in the northern states because of the thing, but it's amazing how they hold a grudge sometimes.
It does build beautifully, doesn't it? As
and
song, it's glorious.
And especially when he reaches that final moments of the song. I swear he's got to bust a gut when he sings it, but you can see I mean, everybody's different, but it sends goosebumps down when he has that final thing, and often he gets starting. If you look at some of the old footage of his concerts, he often gets standing ovations when that thing. Yeah. But he usually leaves it to the end of the show. Probably he usually sings from. He had a fairly standard set list at the most of the last years of his life, but he mostly did it with Suspicious Minds, Big Hunk of Love, and the one that obviously he became his standing show closer was Can't Help Falling in Love with You, which is from the original Blue Hawaii movie that he made in 1961.
And here we go with an American trilogy.
Oh, I wish I was in a land of cotton. Old times there are not forgotten. Look away, look away, look away, Dixieland. Singing fellas.
Oh, I wish I was in Dixie, away, in Dixieland I'll take my stand to live and die in Dixie.
For Dixieland, where I was born, early Lord, one frosty morn. Look away, look away, look away, Dixieland. Glory, glory, hallelujah. So hush, little baby, don't you cry. You know your daddy's bound to die. But all my trials, Lord, soon be over. Glory, glory, hallelujah. His truth is marching on. His truth is marching
That was just phenomenal. That was wonderful. So, Lewis, tell us a little bit about who you are. Who is Lewis Cox?
Well, I wonder that myself sometimes. I was born here in Perth and in Subiaco Children's Hospital in 1959.
Right.
So I've just revealed how old I am. I'm not retired, but it feels like it sometimes. But I keep myself busy with working for the Bayswater Historical Society. I just got elected this year as the treasurer, which I was honoured to accept and do the role. I'm enjoying the role immensely. Up until about a year ago, I put it on hold for now. I was doing my master's degree at ECU, but like study, I don't want to use the word burnout, but mentally I was starting to lose the enthusiasm a bit. So it was time to take a break.
This is not your first degree, is it?
No,
You've had a lifetime of study and a lifetime of learning by the looks.
Well, the first degree I completed was back in the 90s. That was the business one. And the history one came at the end of the 90s, but the last one, the politics one, I completed in July 2020 during the lockdown we had for COVID at the time.
Congratulations.
And, I must admit, my finishing grades were a lot better that semester. They shot up to high distinction level because I didn't have to spend time travelling. What surprised us was they shifted the whole infrastructure of. We walked into class one day in March. Mm-hmm. They made a big announcement, the class I had that day, and just said, well, boys and girls, because of the COVID, we're going to go online. So I thought, well, how do you logistically shift 30,000 students and staff? I mean, because any IT system could nuke itself with that. I mean, they did it in a way that a military commander of logistics would be proud to think. They moved it all within a short time, and we're all up and running.
Amazing what we're capable of when we put our minds to it. Yeah.
But I mean, I grew up in the first few years of my life in the country. My dad, who passed away almost 10 years ago, actually it's 9 years ago, sorry. He worked for the NAB Bank until he retired in the 80s. And I didn't care for school. I wasn't a fan. But I decided when I went to high school, I went to Kent Street Senior High School.
Oh, great school. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of my favourite songs by the Animals. We want to get out of this place as fast as we ever do. It hasn't got the good reputation it does now. Everybody has different generational interpretations of how they view where they grow up. But I don't say it was a hellhole, but it was a bit of a rough school at the time. You know. That's what I felt anyway.
Yeah, let's have a bit more music because I want to
Sure,
come back and ask
sure.
you more about education and
sure.
your opinion about it.
Yeah.
A bit more Elvis. We have Return to Sender, and then we've got a little bit of tech information for us.
Please share us with your friends. miteradio.com.au.
Okay, so in the news today, electric vehicle sales surge in Australia. Yes, you heard that correctly. In a groundbreaking development, the EV Council's latest report reveals a remarkable surge in EV sales across Australia. According to the State of EVs report, the number of vehicles sold in the first half of this year has already surpassed the total sales of the entire last year. EVs account for an impressive 8.4% of all new car sales this year, including projected sales for the remainder of the year. The report stressed the need for 50% of cars sold in 2030 to be electric to meet the crucial climate emissions targets. So a significant 57% increase in public charging locations has been witnessed across the country since June last year, indicating that growth for the infrastructure. Obviously, the report also underscores the pressing need for increased supply to meet the surging demand for EVs. Most available car models are currently sold out, partly due to the absence of a fuel efficiency standard in WA. Watch this space for more info.
Just housework and things like that. But without turning back too many painful memories, my mother had a very bad decline in health in year 2000, and that's where I took it on full time. She recovered, but I had to terminate my studies that I was doing at the time. Mm-hmm. I'd actually started postgrad back then, but the pressure of juggling that and other commitments became too much for me, and I had to take it on full time. And I thought, okay, apparently we've got longevity on both sides of our family. I had two grandmothers. One that was nearly 100 when she passed. I think she was 98, 99. She was quite up there.
Yeah, that's doing well.
So I forgot the fact that we have longevity in the family, and I thought, okay, I'd be doing this for, well, given the fact that when I took it on full time, both of them were nudging 80. So I thought, okay, a few years of this and that would be it. But Dad went to nearly 90, and Mum was 93. Mm-hmm. And it's only been, they went 9 years ago for Dad and 7 for Mum, but still miss them. But they had a good innings. And but I think that's when I consider myself that I care. But I'd say, yeah, when the medical needs started to become an issue and that, but I found it a very rewarding experience. I didn't, unlike some people, get dropped in it. Mm-hmm. And I've always believed that there's two types of carers. One, like me, who evolved into it and find your feet. Mm. Others who get dropped in it and through no bad...
no fault of their own.
No fault of their own, yes, that's right. The stress starts to get them.
Yeah.
And I was very proud of my own sister when she said to me, I couldn't do what you do. It would destroy me. Because it takes a brave person to admit, in this case it was my sister saying it, but it takes a brave person to anybody say that I'm not up to this. Mm. But I think you'd be a fool to do something as a caregiver if you not have the right mindset, because it could destroy your health if you're not careful. I mean, how many times we've heard this expression, who cares for the carer? Mm. You've got to put yourself first, even if you're a carer like me who found my feet, and I did it for many, many years. You've got to have the right mindset. But I will admit, in the final few years, I was starting to feel it physically. And I got a lot of comments from people that when I started it, I was just in my early 40s. And they were surprised that a middle-aged man was looking after his parents or in a caring role. Well, I was surprised. I mean, I didn't really get bothered by it, but I found that the stereotype perception of what a carer is was other old people looking after other old people. And it's not like that. It's all ages. I even knew of a person who was 16 years old looking after his mum and younger brothers. And,
Carers WA has got as young as 8
yeah,
carers.
But unfortunately, it's the people who have never experienced the caring role or often cases don't even know what it's about.
That's right.
You know?
Yeah.
You have to be an administrator. You have to be, I mean, if I got to bed before 11:30 at night, it was considered early. I mean, 18-hour days were commonplace. Yeah.
I want to ask you about that.
Yeah, sure,
We're going to jump to a little bit more Elvis Ferguson song. So, Lewis, tell me what did a day in the life look like? You know, especially I guess one of the standard, but one of the days towards the end. What was it like?
Oh, let's see.
What time would you get up in the morning?
About 5 a.m.
Right.
Something I used to do, I call my me time. I go for a morning walk. I've done it for as far back as I can remember. And since I've been living here, I kept it up. But granted, it's a hilly suburb where we are. But where I was, I would get up about 5 a.m., go for my walk. And by the time I'd get back, the folks would be getting up. And first thing was my dad would say is, "Where's my bloody paper?" And a certain thing we used to, but we don't do it. We gave that up years ago, and by then I'd cook breakfast, and then because they were very mobile probably until the last year or so of their life, and so most of the time it was just giving them the medications and things like that.
There's always medical appointments and
medical appointments. Oh yes, I mean
it's constant, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean we practically lived at Charlie Gardner. I mean, surprisingly, Mum had the most hospital visits, especially in the last few years of her life, and Dad was actually very lucky. It was like I'd say to Dad, "How do you buck up my schedule by doing this?" But no, actually, she had her health at that age, was like any person. It's like walking a tightrope. I've got a friend of mine who's in the same experience now with his mother. She got very badly hammered through COVID, and it brought back memories when he told me what he's going through. When she's good, she's great, but at the same age that my mother was when I took on the role full time, he is at now, and it's when they're good at that age, it's fine. You can't believe that they're vital, but it's like working tightrope. It doesn't take much to knock it off balance.
And what I'm hearing from some of the other carers is that part of the hardest part of it is the emotional reaction that you get from your caree. You know, they're going through, maybe some anger and pain and guilt and lack of independence and all sorts of stuff, and that tends to come out in sometimes a bit of a nasty way at times.
Well, I didn't experience that with my mum and dad. I mean, in fact,
that's good to know.
Mum embarrassed the hell out of me. She said, "Oh, we'd be lost without him."
Oh, but, of course.
No, the thing that I found with it wasn't the problem with him. It was a couple of times, and I'm going to confess this: the stress of the situation, particularly the first year when she was in the hospital. After nearly 13 months of constant hospital visits, the stress started to get to me, and we chucked a hissy fit. And then if I could do a little antidote here, if I may, if you're going to chuck a hissy fit or a temper tantrum, don't throw anything expensive. But no, I think just exploded one day, and I thought, I've reached burnout stage. It was just particularly a grueling period, but the situation with her at the time had been going on for so long, I was starting to buckle. But
Do you have much outside help at this point? Or
No, I
at
did
this
it all-
stage it was all on your own?
all of us say, yeah, and of course, but the first couple of years, first year I did it on a full-time thing. My sister and I nicknamed it after a Star Trek episode called The Year of Hell.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody who's a Star Trek aficionado would have to look up which series it is, but it was very much a year of hell for us. When it seemed no end in sight, I was seriously considering putting her into a nursing home. But she came good. I had really no intention, but I think that was just the stress talking.
Yeah.
But no, suddenly by the end of the year, there was a miraculous turnaround. I think we found out with a bit of hindsight, some of the medical care that she was receiving in, I won't say the hospital because it's on our hit list that begins with an S, if you know what I mean. But when we got a doctor in, that was a wonderful doctor, I can't think of his name, I don't know whether he'd be around now. He just, I think what was happening is they did a lot of things without, I think when, the problem I think what we found was they did a lot of things not realising that mum was an 80-year-old woman or whatever. And I think things were done, not, in my humble opinion, not the right way. They did change things without a little bit too radically quickly, like in the area of medications.
Yeah.
Now, anybody with half a brain knows that when you're changing patients' medications, you do it gradually, monitor the changes, things like that. And in, I think my mum's case, I later found out that they did a complete change, and well, her behaviour was intense, to say the least.
That is challenging. Let's have a bit more music. We've discussed offline Burning Love. This is my favourite Elvis Presley song. And you were saying that this was his most successful, is that right?
It's probably one of the last number one hits that he had. He had others in the last 5 years of his life. Came out in 1972. And Suspicious Minds was another one that came out in around the same period. But I think he charted, but I think after 1973 he didn't really have any more number one hits, but he got up there in the top 20.
Good on him. Here we go.
Lord Almighty, feel my temperature rising. Higher, higher, it's burning through to my soul. Girl, 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 you gonna set me on fire.
Enjoying the music? Enjoying the tech? Please share us with your friends. miteradio.com.au.
Future Tech from the Innovation Hub. Today, I want to talk about a slippery solution to a sticky situation. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about something that we use every day, but we hardly ever discuss: the humble toilet bowl.
Yeah, of course we will.
Yes, scientists at Huazhong University of Science and Technology in Wuhan, China, have taken this everyday item and given it a futuristic twist that might just revolutionise our bathrooms forever.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
Imagine a toilet bowl that nothing can stick to.
A Teflon toilet bowl.
No, not Teflon. No more unsightly residue or stains. Sounds like science fiction, right? Well, now it's a reality. These brilliant minds have created a toilet bowl that is so slippery, it's almost like it's covered in a magical non-stick coating. Teflon is not good because it scratches and wears down and you have to re-coat and all that kind of stuff. So anyway,
listeners can't see Tony gesticulating at me too, wagging his finger telling me.
No, I've researched this. I know what I'm talking about. How does it work? Well, funny enough, all the materials are 3D printed.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Thanks to the super slippery surface, almost nothing can stick to it. Nothing can cling to it. Even after repeated use and with a good scrubbing with sandpaper, it remains as slick as ever. If you've ever dreamed of having a toilet that stays clean effortlessly, this ultra slippery bowl might just be the answer. Obviously, the benefits go.
Sounds like some of our politicians, Tony.
The benefits, obviously, more than just mere cleanliness. Think about the water that you would save. You don't have to flush particularly much at all, if at all. It's just to make sure the waste goes over around the S-bend. Mm-hmm. You don't have to worry about providing enough water there to clean it because nothing actually sticks to it.
They must be embracing some of our Australian technology from the low water urinals that have originated in Australia,
and
because
they're pretty terrible, I've got to say. Odour-wise and stuff like that, and you still have to flush water. But anyway,
but we've been using them for years.
Yeah, 15, 20 years, something like that. Yeah. Anyway, it's actually called the Arse FT.
Oh dear.
Abrasion-resistant, super slippery flush toilet. Made from materials that naturally repel complex fluid and sticky substances. And, if you can scrub anything with sandpaper and it doesn't stick to it, then you do it pretty well.
That's got to be added to the arsenal of awful acronyms.
Out of interest, about 400 billion gallons of water is used every day on Earth. 400 billion gallons. 141 of those billions is fresh water used to flush toilets.
Unbelievable.
That's a quarter of the world's freshwater usage literally flushed down the toilet. If we can knock that down to, I don't know, maybe a half a litre flush just to get stuff down the S-bend, I think that'll make a significant difference. By the way, that's roughly about 6 times the daily water consumption of Africa.
I'm surprised that you haven't gone on to say that in the future we're going to have toilet services used for our frying pans, because they would be non-slip. And it's easier to slide the kale into the rubbish bin.
But potentially there might be some heat issues there. You generally don't. You don't
heat the toilet.
That's right.
So you're not a kale fan, Kay?
When you cook it in coconut oil, it can slide easier into the rubbish bin than if you cook it in something else.
So not a fan, Kay.
Innovation Hub.
Thank you very much.
We're here.
You look like an angel. Look like an angel. Walk like an angel. Walk like an angel. Talk like an angel. But I got wise. You're the devil in disguise. Oh, yes, you are. Devil in disguise. You fool me with your kisses. You cheated and you schemed. Heaven knows how you lied to me. It's not the way you seem. You look like an angel. Look like an angel. Walk like an angel. Walk like an angel. Talk talk like an angel, but I got wise. You're the devil in disguise. Oh, yes, you are. Devil in disguise. I thought that I was in heaven, but I was sure surprised. Heaven help me, I didn't see the devil in your eyes. You look like an angel, walk like an angel, talk like an angel, but I got wise. You're the devil in disguise. Oh, yes, you are. You're the devil in disguise. Oh, yes, you are. Devil in disguise. Oh, yes, you are. Devil in disguise. Oh, yes, you are. Devil in disguise. Oh, yes, you are.
Tune in to Let's Talk with Ashley Hassel with interesting topics and great guests. 10 a.m. Friday and 3 p.m. Saturdays Western Standard Time.
It's over here chatting with Lewis Cox, talking about caring during Carers Week on MITE Radio. Lewis, I get the impression that sometimes the system was actually more difficult than the caring or the people or the illnesses themselves. Was that your experience sometimes?
That's putting it mildly.
Right, okay.
Frustrating would be a G-rated version. But one of the things as I said earlier, I had to become an administrator of things. I had to find the right person to speak to, the right way to go about it, the process. And granted, I must admit, my temper got in the way a bit sometimes. I'm not that bad, but yes, it
You
was
struck me as a sort that would actually take a lot of to get to that level of anger.
Without any false modesty, it takes a rare person to push my buttons.
Mm-hmm.
But on the rare occasions that I have exploded into a real bad temper, it's usually the proverbial further floating down that triggers it. Something so trivial, and you wonder why, but it's often, it's the few times that I did lose my temper very badly, not at the folks, but just the stress of the situation was, I look back on it when that happened, and it was obviously something so trivial, so minor, and yet I can handle 18-hour days and just feel very tired at the end of it, but something so trivial, innocuous that would be the trigger that would set me off. But it was short and sharp and over with, because I mean, when you got two people, in my case, that depends on you, losing control of your temper and emotions is a luxury you not so much don't have but can't afford. And also, along with caring for my folks, my sister asked me to play a role model in raising her daughter. I don't mind saying that she lost her father, my brother-in-law, at a very young age. So where I could, I helped out her, and usually when she was in school holidays and things like that, so I helped out. So I had certainly an emotional commitment to my family. What did annoy me a lot was when people would say, "Oh, you'll be glad when you get your life back." Well, I hate that when people say that, because it was not a life that I gave up to take on the role. It was probably a bit of a cliche, but a labour of love, and it's a very rewarding experience. But it's
I was going to ask,
Yeah, sure.
how did it impact your career and your friendships?
Well, I'm glad you said that, the friendship. Again, I probably whip out a lot of old sayings here, but I certainly found out who my friends were.
Because they stayed around, or because they were the ones that offered help? Or?
Bit of both, yeah, bit of both. Some helped, yeah, and some was more just, which I'm not just know if I can swear that just give lip service. It's a sort of I don't look out too many cliches here, but the friends that stuck by me and the people that they talk the talk and walk the walk. But the few people that I don't have anything to do with, I wouldn't even know where they are now. It's been over 25 years almost. They just gave me lip service. But you got the old, I'm sorry, I can't really help. But after they offered, so they were just doing lip service. But no, apart from the few exceptions, I had a wonderful support thing, and I became a member of Carers WA during that difficult year with my mother. And they were a tremendous support. Everybody from the present CEO at the time to when my caring days came to an end in 2016. But it was a very rewarding experience. I don't think it defined me, but it certainly was an experience that I'm glad I took on, and it's something that I have very fond memories of. Not just because it was family. I would have been the same if I was caring for a friend or something like that. But there's a special, obviously, when it's a partner, a wife, a husband, a daughter, a son, or in my case, my parents. I've never married, so it's not for it just the fact it was my parents I looked after, and
It gives you a real opportunity to have that bond that not everybody gets the opportunity to have.
Yeah, I mean, I had a lot of friends of mine that I went to school with back in the 1960s. That I was a bit puzzled by it at first. They say, "Are your mum and dad still alive?" Because by the time we're getting into our middle age, 40s, and that, they were surprised that both of mine were still alive.
Yeah.
But no, it was a very rewarding experience. But as I said earlier, it's not for faint-hearted. The pressure is brutal. It's unrelenting, and I'm not bragging here. I never took any time off in all that time. If you night out with friends or go off and see a movie, or something like that. But I found in the early years, the first year especially, that I didn't need what they call respite care where you could take up to 4 weeks off or whatever it was. I found that you discover quickly what sort of break you need and when. And I find just a few hours break here and there, or just just going down to the beach, or just putting yourself up. I find a few hours often would. So that was obviously what I needed. But everybody's different. Some people, I know one person, I can't think of her name right now. She said, "Oh, Lewis, I'm hanging out for my respite care." But me, a few hours did it for me, or just catching up with friends or family. But everybody's different on what they need to maintain and avoid the burnout.
Do something like a walk, not a couple of hours, like half an hour to do a walk. Those are the kind of things that the rest of us think are just necessities of life. But for carers, often that's the break that they need to have, and it becomes quite critical if they don't get that time.
But also the key is trust your own instincts, and you find your way very quickly, and trust your inner voice. Sort of trust, and very rarely did it let me down. And the thing that after a few years of doing it with the frustrating bureaucracy, dealing with medical staff, and of course everybody's pet haters back in the day was Centrelink. We could make bad Centrelink jokes all the time, but when the Carers Act came out in 2004 in WA, boy, did that make a difference. Because no disrespect to the medical staff out there, but there were some that I had to deal with that were wonderful. They couldn't do more. Others that had they were wonderful doctors, but they, well, as I like to say with politicians as well, they needed a charisma bypass. They left their good humour in the birth canal or something like that, because some of the local members and politicians that I met at carers conventions, they were the typical politicians. You know, they maybe it was the problem lied with me, as we all love to bag politicians and bureaucracy, public servants. But no, I mean, when I look back on it after all these years, the bad experiences or the negative, frustrating experiences with anything bureaucracy, with caring help, and that were few and far between. But when it's going on, it seems a big deal. But the Carers Act, I think, for me, it just, I don't know, I can't really put it into words, but it just made life better for me. I can't speak for other carers, and I wouldn't. But they...
that particular Carers Act gave you more ability to be kept in the loop with medical decisions.
Yes. And in some cases, I think it is, I could be wrong, but it made anybody in the medical field more accountable. Yeah. Because, I mean, everybody's experience on a generational sense, sometimes, I mean, everybody has a different opinion, and somebody may not agree with what I'm about to say, but I think medical can get a godlike complex a bit. Yeah, there's them and there's God, and God better move over. So I hope I haven't offended anybody with religious thing there, but the attitude of medical staff going back to when I was a child, it was their era of superiority about things. But no, but the medical staff that I dealt with after we had a wonderful GP that's now retired. I won't say her name, but she knows who she is. Mm-hmm. She was a godsend. I called her my shock troops, because the mental pressure really came off in a lot of ways. I still had the stress, but I was spending dealing with frustrating situations with medical staff and things like that. I mean, it wasn't their problem. It was just, I had enough stress going on at the time, and but when this GP came on board, oh boy, did she make a difference,
Having a good team helps.
Oh yeah, and from roughly 2002 onwards till the day they passed, she was there and it made things easier. And I think it might have saved me from having to. I'm not certain, but it's hindsight's a wonderful thing. But I really found my feet by about 03.
How many years in was that? How many years in was that?
3. I was in my third year then. Everything had turned around. I mean, Mum had a few issues over the years. I mean, in the last couple of years of life, she developed cancer in the side of her face, and but that was treated successfully. And but she, when she passed at 93, it was a combination of old age and other ailments. But no, anytime I reflect back and think, they had a good run. Yeah, I think if you get into your 90s, you've had a full life.
Yes, they had 2 children and grandchildren.
Yeah, I mean, they had just the one granddaughter. As I said, earlier, I never married, but I didn't feel the need that I haven't missed anything else by not being married. I used to joke with my father. He used to ask me why I've never married, and I said, Dad, I just don't feel the need. And my attitude is, if I find somebody, fine. If I don't, I'm not going to cry about it. I don't feel my life is in anything less fulfilling or rewarding by remaining single. I used to joke with my dad saying, well, son, there's somebody out there for you. And I said, well, I wish they'd hurry up and find me. So no, it's not really an issue. I'm content with my life, and we have our moments where we look back on. But as you get older, you have a sense of clarity that things that you thought were regrets, disappointments, or even failures in a lot of cases, I look back and I thought, gee, things turned out pretty good. But that's why I think when you get to a certain age, you look back and think, no, things didn't turn out too bad after all. Yeah.
That's great.
Interesting people, interesting times. You're with Kay on MITE Radio.